I realize I've been posting a lot of videos about this gun as of recently, but I've been making a lot of little changes here and there. And the ones I want to go over with you here are the trigger. In the previous vid, I showed you all you have to do to the old trigger is basically just remove some pieces, and now you got a single wide trigger. And you can see how it's set there. And also, I'm not sure if you can see super well, but the band placement is completely different. So you can see how tight it hugs both sides of this red connector. So let me uncharge the weapon. When uncharged, you can see that green rod right here is not going to go anywhere. There's no way for it to go anywhere. It's held in place super securely, and the bands are very firm in terms of how they're holding. And I have it wrapped in a certain way to keep this piece from wiggling back and forth at all, and yet still be in this new band position here. So take a look at that. You can see where it's located in terms of placement on the red connector there. And you can see how tight that's going to hold the green connector, or the green rod, in place. And then again, I have it going through the middle of the gun, so it's not going to fall anywhere. I mean, the band placement overall is just better. And it allows for a single wide trigger, and also this pin instead of the ball socket pin. This pin is obviously going to be more secure, and that makes the entire trigger really a complete trigger in terms of just how I don't see it failing at any point other than just the piece wearing out over time. So very excited about this trigger. So I'm going to show you how to basically make the trigger, because it's kind of tricky with how you got to put the band on. So you're going to use a size 64 rubber band and grab all your trigger pieces here. First thing you're going to do is grab your size 64 rubber band and put it through the red connector. It's a little difficult to kind of feed it through there. You're going to want to use a size 64 though, because the reason to use a size 64 band on the trigger is when you charge the weapon, you want that trigger to set every time very consistently. You don't want it to not only halfway set or something to where you can have some trigger slip and the gun could accidentally misfire. So it's important to have a strong band on there, and I recommend the size 64 for pretty much everything I make. So go out, get yourself a bunch of 64s, and you can pretty much make anything I build. Alright, so this is how you want it to be, just like that. And then, let's see how I want to do this exactly. I'm going to basically just put these pieces together, like that. So you just got the white rod on there. This is the actual part you're going to pull for your trigger. You're going to put it on right like that. Okay, so you can see how that's on there. Band's kind of in the way, but you can see which hole the band's going through. You see the trigger's kind of flimsy. We're going to fix that. I'm going to show you how. Actually, it might be a little difficult to access. Let's see here. What you want to do is basically grab this rubber band. There we go. Grab the rubber band in between there with a Connex rod of some sort. Sort of pull it through. Alright. And you just need to pull it through enough to where you can hook it onto the back of this red connector, like that. So you can see how the bands are. And then you're just going to pull it tight, because you don't need this to be all loose inside the actual trigger. Just pull it as tight as you can, because you need as much slack as you can get, basically. Otherwise your trigger band's going to be pretty tight. So just pull that tight, kind of like so. And just keep working it until you got it right. And that's pretty much your trigger right there. So you can see the trigger's not going anywhere because it's held in place by this rubber band. So it has no free back and forth. The band placement itself is up front here, so it's going to hold against the green rod real well. And let me just put the pin in place. There we go. Alright, so that's what the entire trigger assembly kind of looks like. And when you pull this band forward in front of the gun, it pretty much just holds it just like that. So I mean, you can see that's not going to allow that green rod to go anywhere. And it still allows this pin to set up high enough and very consistent with the size 64 rubber bands. So that's how you band the trigger, and then basically just bring it through the front of the gun onto the front right here, and you're good. So you can see how that's in there, and this trigger is working awesome. And I like the single wide trigger, so everyone can thank the Dunkiss for hating my trigger so much in terms of how it feels, and it basically allowed me to take that piece off, and I liked it. So anyway, that's the video. Check out the new trigger and how to band it. Shaking a little bit right now because I'm dead tired. I worked all night, no sleep, and need to eat. So I'm gonna shut the video down, get some food, and make sure to make that trigger because it's awesome.